Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I shot these portraits in the rain using off-camera flash and the Magmod modifiers, and show you the method behind creating epic rain portraits on a wedding day. I love the rain basically because I have to. It's a love-hate relationship. The rain can give you the most amazing creative portraits on a wedding day that no other weather can, and it gives you the chance to create something completely unique for your couples and give brides a reason to not be disappointed with the weather on their wedding day. And to be honest, now my couples look forward to the rain on their wedding day. So first up we have Leanne and Graham, who got married in the spring in the UK. This was a real wedding with a real couple, and I am so lucky that I have couples who would come and stand in a rainstorm for 5 minutes, but that's because they trust me and they trust the creative process. Let's be honest, you're not going to get a couple to come outside in the rain if you ask them and say, oh, don't worry, but you know, it's kind of raining outside, you might get a little bit wet. They want you to feel excited that you're going to create something awesome for them. They want you to go up to them and be like, hey guys, I know it's raining, we're going to get some epic portraits outside. It'll only take 5 minutes, you won't get that wet. And then they're just excited in the creative process with you and more likely to come outside for your rain portraits. This particular photograph was taken at 9 PM after the first dance, so there was no formalities left to the wedding day, which did kind of help. It was just the dancing that was left, and it pretty much rained all afternoon, although we did manage to sneak a little break in the weather earlier in the day for some portraits. Now, rather than getting the couple straight outside, I've gone out with my flash and set everything up so that I only need my couple outside in the rain for literally 2 minutes. Now in this particular situation, I had a second shooter, which was ace, because I can then directly test my rain shots before I bring the couple outside. First up, before I give you all the settings behind this particular photograph, it's important to note the space that I have chosen. I wanted a space with a completely dark background, which is why I've waited until 9 PM. And as you'll see from this photograph taken earlier in the day, there's no ambient light. It's basically pitch black. There's no lamppost, there's no distractions from any of the lights from the venue. Now, I did bring the couple outside with an umbrella, although I don't think they used it. And I placed my flash approximately 3 meters behind them both, but facing ever so slightly towards the groom. This is so I don't blow out any highlights on the bride's dress, although I kind of did a little bit, but you know, it was raining and I like the picture, so it's fine. There's always room for improvement. So the flash is about 3 or 4 meters behind the couple on full power. I have also attached the wonderful MagSphere to my flash, which is brilliant. It enhances the spread of the light so I can capture as many of those raindrops as possible. And the great thing about this modifier is it's also waterproof. Now, it's important to also note that you need to protect your equipment. So I quite often just put a clear plastic bag, like a food bag, over my flashes to protect them. I'm shooting on my Canon 5D Mark III in the 85mm 1.2L lens. Now, for a full equipment list, you can have a look in this video and you can see all the equipment that I use on a wedding day. I'm shooting at ISO 200 because I don't need any ambient light in the photograph, and to be honest, there wasn't any. My shutter is at 1/200 and my aperture is 1.8, so I can really maximize the bokeh of the rain. Now, as you'll see here in this behind the scenes photograph, I've got my second shooter, who you might recognize from the silhouette. It's Neil Redfern. Definitely go and check out his YouTube channel. So I've got Neil to light the couple just with the torchlight on his phone so I can gain focus, because as I say, it was almost pitch black. The important thing then is that I've moved my camera to manual focus. This is so that I don't have to get Neil to basically light up the couple every time I want to take a photograph. The important thing is that you can't move and the couple can't move if you're in manual focus. If you want to change your composition, you're going to have to relight the couple and refocus and then pop your camera back in into manual focus. Once I've got all my settings right, I've then moved around to create different compositions. I've got closer, I've got further away. It's something that's really easy and can definitely get you something completely different but equally as creative. And I'm so pleased that I did do this on this particular wedding day, because I think the closer portrait is definitely one of my all-time favourites. So I've got some handy tips for you before I move on to the next photograph, and that is pop a plastic bag over your flash to protect it against the rain. And as Trevor mentioned in my Magmod interview, you can pop the sphere on the outside of the plastic bag because it's waterproof and it's magnetic. It will stick through the bag, and it'll also save your bag from flying away. The second tip is use a dark background. You don't want to be shooting with venue lights in the background, street lamps, anything that's going to take your distraction away, because you want as much of that bokeh as possible. And the third tip is use your torchlight on your phone so that you can gain focus if you're struggling to focus in the dark, which the Canons definitely do a little bit. So for this particular image of Leanne and Graham on the wedding day, the bride and groom were outside for less than 5 minutes. And from my first shot in this little session to the last shot in this little session, it took me 3 minutes. And that's because I've taken the time to just get my settings right to save the bride and groom standing outside for 10 minutes while I play around. Now here's another of my favourite rain photographs. This one's a little bit different in the way that I've set it up. It's another real wedding, this time in France. Didn't think you'd expect rain in France. We definitely do in the UK, but not over there. Didn't have a second shooter on this particular wedding day, but there was no need for me to test before I grabbed the couple, as they're actually under a porch or like an entrance to the venue. So they're actually stood in the dry while I'm testing out my flashes, which once you've tried this a couple of times, you'll know what works for you, and you'll know like where you need to start with your settings. I've started around the same. I've gone for a half power on my flash. The flash is approximately 4 meters behind them. Same thing again, I'm using the MagSphere, the absolute trusty Magmod product, not only for creating the best rain photographs, but for creating the best sunset, the best fake sunset. If you've not watched that video, you need to go and check that out as well. So my settings for this particular photograph is the flash is on a half power, approximately 4 meters behind the couple, with the trusty MagSphere, taking an ISO of 200, 1.4 on the aperture and 1/200 on the shutter. So as I mentioned before, the couple are actually stood under a porch, which is what's giving them the light at the front. And as you can see from this image, I've also added a few gradients afterwards in Photoshop, just to add a little bit more creativity for the photograph. But definitely next time I will be using the Magmod gels to do this for me. And the next image I'm going to share with you is actually from one of my photography shooting workshops. And as you can see from some of the earlier photographs of the workshop, the sky was so dark and moody, and we always end the shoot on the beach, so basically there's nowhere to hide if it did rain. But I think, you know, you've got to embrace the weather that you have and you've got to make the most of it. Definitely took this one a little bit too far, as I had to send my camera in for repair after this shoot. It was so heavy, the rain, but there's nowhere to hide. And I think, to be honest, I just got so focused and so in the zone on getting the shot that I kind of, forgot to protect my equipment. So definitely protect your equipment. This particular photograph was shot on the 50mm 1.2L lens. The ISO is at 100 and my aperture is at 4.5. Now I definitely normally prefer a lower aperture, but due to the amount of natural light, and I'd pushed the ISO to 100 and I'd already pushed my shutter to 1/200, I literally had no more room for movement on the aperture. So yeah, my aperture's at 4.5. There is a way around this. I could have used high-speed sync, but I didn't have my high-speed sync triggers with me, so I'm rolling with what I've got, and I'm making the most of the situation that I'm in. And my flash is on a 1/4 power, approximately 3 meters behind the model, with the trusty MagSphere, creating all that beautiful bokeh. So as you can see here, I've got a safe shot first. I always get a safe shot of the scene because the flash is adding to the rain. It's not creating light for the subject. And as you will notice, the raindrops don't look as good in the bokeh, and that is because of the aperture. But as I say, I'm working with what I've got and I really love this photograph. So we have some top tips for shooting in the rain. Dark background, definitely better at night. Point the flash towards the groom. Add as much light spread as possible by using the MagSphere. Do a test shot before you get the couple outside. You can always use an umbrella for this, and then just toss the umbrella to one side. And lastly, protect your equipment. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments. Happy to answer them. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.